Hey everybody, for the second day in a row, Yankonomics Productions is bringing you another voiceover on some of the new ships that have come out for rental in the ship store. So here today we're going to play the Hampshire. Now the cool part about this is on this recording I have my son Jankizard with me, who is 10, and he is turning himself into one heck of a battleship player because he's got some good people to mold his gameplay after. Not just me, but a lot of other people that play the game have been able to help him out. Especially the people that I hang out with and have had the privilege of gaming with. So for those people, I say thank you, because that young man is turning into one heck of a battleship player. Now we're going to play up this first game here. It's going to be pretty fun here. We're on Sleeping Giant. The cool part about this video is we end up having back-to-back games of 3K XP, and we're going to be having an Encore match right after we're done with this one. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere after I'm done with the Commander loadout and the Commander build, because we end up running into some people in the second game that I have a great amount of respect for, and a very, very awesome clan, and some good people over there that I have a ton of respect for and love them to death. It's Payne's Armada, and we end up running into those guys in the second Encore game of this video. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere. I won't be doing a complete voiceover on that video. I just encourage people to watch it. It's really good gameplay. And it comes down to the wire. It is Jankizard and I right at the end of it. So here we are, we start out. I know Jankizard's with me. I know he's going to probably start heading my way. I know I'm faster, and what I want to do, and at least what I'm looking at here, is I want to get over towards A-Cap because I want to be able to support this battleship that's going to go this way. So I end up taking the long way around on this particular match, but it ends up paying dividends later on in the game as we get some good shots on some people and some good broadsides, and we end up having a couple good one-on-ones. Towards the end of the game, we end up having a really nice one-on-one with an Algier, and it's a lot of fun. This ship, to me, I think is actually my favorite one of the four, just because it seems to be a model of consistency. So the thing you probably notice right away up front is you're noticing what kind of like you're looking at the bottom right hand of the screen, and you're noticing, well, armor piercing. That's right. It's got the flare for piercing perk, which means it's only AP only shells. I will tell you though that the difference between this ship and the other ones that you're used to with AP only is that this thing has 8-inch AP shells, as opposed the 203 millimeters, as opposed to the 6-inch shells that we're used to with Edinburgh and Fiji and those other ships. This thing really, really shines in that regard. It's actually probably the best part of the ship. What they say is this ship is an extension of the Surrey at tier 6, but the Surrey has HE. This thing doesn't. But where it really shines is this AP only, and you'll see here some of these salvos right here. You're only going to see maybe a couple thousand, maybe 2,000 on these shots. But once we start closing in on some people, you're going to see that those numbers really start to jump. You're going to see it go from 2,000 up to 4,000 or 5,000 per salvo. And you notice the reload's actually pretty decent. Stock reload, I believe, is 9 seconds, and I am running that main battery mod on this thing, so it brings it right down to about 8 seconds with this reload. You do have 4 torpedoes on each side. I do really like that, especially when you're talking about those cruiser-on-cruiser engagements. And you also notice that it's got a pretty nice rudder shift on it. I stacked into double rudder just because I know these British ships, they can be pulverized pretty hard from almost any angle with their raised citadel that they have. So I tend to want to run something that's going to give me a little bit extra rudder. And that's what this thing does. It's down to a 3.7 second rudder shift. I really, really do like this ship. I said it yesterday when I was talking about the Heisen, but I think this one takes it for me. I put this one up there at about an 8 out of 10, maybe even an 8.5 out of 10 in terms of enjoyability and the way that I enjoy playing warships in this game. Cruisers had never been my thing up until maybe a couple months ago when I really started to explore them. I wanted to dive into them. I wanted to get a lot better at another class in this game. I know I'm good at battleships. But I kind of struggle when it comes to playing destroyers. I've always struggled a little bit playing cruisers, but this is one of those ships that if this thing comes to the game in terms of it being something that we can buy from the store, or a global XP ship, or even a campaign ship, I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this ship, especially with how it plays. It's got a good reload. You know, it doesn't have a smoke screen or a radar, but it's got a nice sonar. It's got some fighter planes. It's got a good, it's got a good, decent heal. It's not a zombie heal per se, but it's a good, decent heal. It'll give you anywhere from 10 to, probably 10 to 15,000 health back, depending on, what kind of damage you've taken over the course of the game. Now you'll see we're at 16,643 damage. We're following the Carchioli into this cap. If I could have gotten onto A cap quicker, this probably would have been a better game than just 3,000 XP. It probably would have been even higher. This is going to be a big damage game. We're going to see a high caliber, not a Kraken, high caliber and a Confederate, and then we have Jankizard here, who's doing his thing. Jankizard did what Yankonomics does best, which is an incredible move here. He's actually south of A right now. You'll see he's on the lip of that smiley face island on the bottom, right on the right side of it, and he's hitting people broadsides, and he's pretty excited about the position that he's in too, because there's some ships that are spotted here, and he is going to end up popping a high caliber and a Confederate here sometime in the next 2 minutes. He had himself a heck of a game in his Kansas. So that's where I think this ship really shines too, is the fact that it plays really well as part of a division, as part of a team. And we'll see, we're going to roll up here into B cap, and we're going to end up getting a nice little assist here from this Carchioli on my left. Basically what's going to happen here is he's actually going to pop his rolling smoke, and that's going to allow us to get some shots on the Synop going across B in order to get to coverage. And from there, from the cover of B, on those islands that we get, all those ships on the other side that are sitting on C and on objective point D, capture point D, you're going to start seeing the actual damage numbers on this takeoff. So just watch. We're at 17,647 at this point. Just watch the damage take off for the rest of this. Now at this point, I don't really have an objective of what I'm trying to do here other than just targets of opportunity. So I see an Iowa come out broadside. I'm gonna launch a couple 8-inch AP salvos at that. Once he disappears, I got this sign up right here, full health. I wanna make sure that I can pump as much damage into these guys as I can. I want to help out my team, and I know a Carchioli is damn near no match for a sign up, especially with the sign up having those 16-inch Russian shells. Now again, Jankizard's got his Kansas, so he's got 12 16-inch guns sitting back there, and he is doing exactly what he needs to do. He is just hammering people. Whenever they get spotted, he's smacking them around, and that's perfect. That's exactly what we needed him to do here, because this is a close game right now. This is 2 caps to 2 caps. This is 8v7, and then all of a sudden we go down to a 7v7. So this is by no stretch over. This is not a steamroll. This is right there. This game is anyone's for the taking. Now coming up here, you're going to see this Agilane, New Jersey go kind of broadside, and you're going to see what this thing can do with its AP on this one. I end up getting about 8.5, 9 kilometers away from this guy, and you end up putting these shots into a broadside ship. You're going to do 5,000-6,000 damage, no problem. And right now our damage total is sitting at 53,831. That's what this thing is. It's a DPM machine. Now it's not a super fast reload, but it just punches. And these flare for piercing AP shells, short fuse, they do some awesome damage to these ships, and it's just very consistent. And that's arguably what I like most about it. It's just the consistency with doing damage. Now you see Jankizard pops his high caliber and his Confederate right there. At that point, we're about 7-8 minutes into this game. We got a full almost 7 minutes to go now. And we end up getting good shots on this Agilane, New Jersey. We end up getting a weird Citadel. I don't know how that happened. That was kind of a weird one for me, but hey, I'll take it. Not going to complain. End up getting a couple Citadels with this thing. I don't think it's as good as what super heavy Baltimore or Baltimore shells or anything like that are. I don't think it's that good, but I do think this thing is very good. You're gonna see more Citadels later on in the game. I'm gonna end up getting 1 or 2 on an Otago, and it's arguably this is a fun game, and this ship, it makes it. I mean, this game's fun to play when we have ships in the game like this Hampshire. This is honestly really fun. I like you know, I like the gimmick part of having AP only, but if you're going to put a gimmick on it, you got to make sure it works. And I think Wargaming does a very, very good job of making sure that the gimmick actually works, it's playable, and it's fun. Now, I will tell you, with the raised citadel, you got to be very, very careful. You're going to see in the Encore game that we have on Two Brothers. I get way too close to an Iowa, and I come very close to being killed. I think he paddles me for about 25k in that next game, and it's not very forgiving when you're getting hit by those kind of big shells. I would say at closer range, smaller shells, you're going to be okay, but not when you're talking about these big super heavy 16s. So the Carchioli does actually smoke up here again, which helps me out tremendously because it disrupts the rhythm of that Iowa. And he's thinking about shooting me, but then he's got to switch targets, and you can see his turret traversing back and forth. And then that Atago pops out. He's looking at trying to get guns on target, and we end up getting another Citadel on him, which is pretty nice. But you'll see, I mean, just look at the hit counter on the right hand side. You know, those are pen shots. Almost all those shells are coming in. A couple are over penning, but you're just getting a lot of penetration hits. Look at those. You know, there's 4 there. There's 3 here. You know, that's what this thing really shines at. It really shines at consistently doing damage. You know, there's another salvo that was about 4,000 damage. We're talking an Iowa at 10, 11k. You know, that's what the ship shines at, and that's arguably why I think this will be a fun ship for a lot of people. You know, we get the high caliber right there, and you just keep pumping in shells until they're gone. So at this point, that was our first damage of the game, but we've already got a high caliber, and we're at 1 kill and 129,000 damage. That's pretty incredible when you're talking about a cruiser at tier 7. I mean, this thing it's just a lot of fun for me to play. And I really, really do enjoy it. So I hope they don't do anything. I think this ship is perfect the way it is. I think they should keep it the way it is. Don't change anything. I hope they release this ship exactly the way I played it these last couple games, because it's a lot of fun. Now I got this Algier in front of me. I'm going to be pushing toward him. And at the same time, I got a Synop back there yet. I know I got a Baltimore somewhere back there. And then the Atago, I believe, is back there yet too. He's still alive. So Jankizard's going to end up pushing straight through B, going towards C and D. He's going to pop right through that gap right there. You can see him in green in this Kansas. He's right just south of B, and he's going to end up getting another kill yet this game. I'm going to end up getting into a quarrel here where I end up having to try and engage 2 different cruisers. And again, this thing, even going up against 2 cruisers, separate sides of the map, I mean, it did really well on this match. And you'll see, I mean, we're at 130,000 damage, and it just keeps going. The counter just keeps going on it. Just keeps getting higher. Now here's what I was talking about. We have the Algier in front of me, and then we have that Atago behind me. So they're trying to get me off the map because they know what I'm been capable of doing. You see a high caliber pop, everybody in the game sees that. And you know, then we end up getting this Confederate medal right towards the end. It's pretty awesome. So, a model of consistency. Again, whenever I game with my son Jankizard, I've nicknamed us the Gruesome Twosome just because I love playing with the kid. He's awesome at it, and he's been doing so well at taking constructive criticism, not only from me but from a lot of my friends who are very good at this game. Even some of my friends that are a lot better at this game. And he is turning himself into a darn good and pretty consistent battleship player, and I can't be more proud of him. This makes the game fun to me when I get to do fun things like that. When I get to hang out with my son, play some games like this, and just have a good time. Makes the game. It gives me a renewed sense of hope and for playing this game, and it's just a lot of fun. So I'm not really sure why this Atago popped out the way he did, but then, you know, we're like, all right, it's a target opportunity. I got to throw some shells at him. And it was about this time Jankizard said, hey, I'm coming out and I'm training my guns on him. I said, all right, he's all yours. And then I shoot one more time here just to make sure, just in case something crazy happens. But then I'm going to turn all my focus over towards the Algier, and we end up having a nice little gun battle here at the end to finish up this game. Now again, the things I like about the Hampshire, I do like I do like the side plating on it. It's pretty nice. It's not going to withstand any big shells to the front of it. I believe it's 26 mil front armor, so it's going to get hit and penned by 15s and 16s. So you just got to be careful with that. But the side plating is really nice. It's actually, I believe the side plating is 75 mil to protect the citadel. It is a raised citadel, so you got to be careful. But I really do like the side plating on it's very nice. I love the fact that it's got 2x4 torpedoes. And you know, with the British you get to single stack them too. And with about 30 seconds to go, we end up getting that kill. We end up getting the kill there on the Algier, bringing us to 178,000 damage to end the game with 3,000 XP, just a hair over 3,000 XP. Love the guns. The guns are great. I love the reload. Pretty awesome. The utility part of it there, it would be, to me, it would actually be overpowered if you put a radar on it. I think it's really good with the sonar. It plays just like the Surrey does, except I think it's that much better. I think it goes from the Surrey at tier 6 up to this Hampshire at tier 7, and it just makes it worth it. It's honestly fun to play, and it was just I love it. I really do. I give it a solid 8. On a second take, you know, if I play it some more and I can figure out some stuff with it, maybe that goes up to an 8.5. But that will be definitely one of the ones I'll be adding to my arsenal when it actually does get released for a full release, and not just for rental. So going through here, aiming systems mod 1, steering gears mod 2, steering gears mod 3, and then main battery mod 3, bringing that reload down to right around 8 seconds. Just going through and showing you guys the sonar. You could switch your sonar up to DFAA. I don't know why you would. I don't think the AA on the ship is good enough to use DFAA, so I just wouldn't. That's my opinion. But you can spec it and build it however you want, guys. I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying out different experiments and build different builds and experimenting with different things. So this was our first game. This was our first ever game in it. You can see right there. First ever game, 3,082 XP, 178,000 damage. Here's what I was talking about with the armor scheme. Big chunk of that is 26 mil, so it's going to get penned by 15 and 16, but you got 28 mil side plating. So I was wrong. I thought it was 75, but it's actually 28 mil. So you just got to be careful with those shells. Angle, rudder, use islands to your advantage. But I will tell you, it's got pretty flat shooting, 8-inch flare for piercing, AP only shells. So again, it's just one of those ships, man. It's really fun to play. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoy the content. Again, we're gonna have an Encore game right after this. Just going through my build real quick. Going with Azulane Belfast at 16 Legend 2. I'm using Einstein for turret traverse, Yamamoto for extra AP shell multiplier. Beyond range, full speed ahead, punch through, fixated, and then refill station. You could definitely run Bruce Fraser on it. I don't think you'd have any issue with that. Again, this will be added to my arsenal when it comes out. I hope you guys enjoy this content. I'm gonna keep going. We'll try and do this audio right through into the next game here, and it should line up pretty fun. Alright, so you can see, I get into this game and I immediately recognize the boys on the other team. That's Riggs and Young Yeeper. Again, really, really good players. And this ends up being a knockdown, drag-out fight all the way to the end. And you're going to see it. This is another one of those where it's like, hey, except for the fact that last game really wasn't, it was a good game, but it wasn't a knockdown, drag-out brawl all the way to the end. I think we had like a 5-on-2 at the end, and then we end up getting all the rest of the kills with about 5 of our ships still left alive. This one here is going to be a 2-on-2 at the end, so stay tuned. This is going to be a good one. So right off the bat here, I'm messing around with the rudder a little bit. I wanted to see what my rudder shift was going to be like. And again, we get two brothers, so I'm not in that ship right now that's going to be able to go up mid, and I'm just not going to do it. And I'm checking out right now the battlefield and see who spawned where, and I'm thinking about where I should go. And there was a brief moment here where I thought about going to D, and I was like, I don't know. I think the carrier is going to end up spawning over north of D, so I was like, I don't really want to be spotted behind these islands. And I think my thought here is I'm going to go check out A, and I'm going to start heading that way. And maybe if we can eliminate one or two of these guys off A, we can really start taking advantage of a ship advantage, shell advantage, which would be like a 9-on-8 or a 9-on-7 even. So the other thing I noticed too is this is a 1 destroyer match, but we also have carriers in this one as well. Our 1 destroyer unfortunately ends up being a Z44, but he ends up having a decent game. So my hat's off to Mr. El Loco here. And we're going to end up pushing over towards A. So I start paying attention to the mini-map here, and I notice that I have 2 battleships. One of these battleships looks like he's going to push into A pretty hard. So I'm a little cautious when I round the corner here. I know I got a DD spotting for me, which is really nice, and that's kind of why I'm glad I went this way, and I'm glad he went this way too, because it actually pays dividends later on. We're going to get up close and personal here in a minute with the Tirpitz, and I think it'll show it'll show how fun this ship really can be, even at close range too. Now we do luck out here. There is a cruiser over here that I believe ends up being AFK, and we just take it as a target of opportunity and start shelling it, as well as some of our other teammates to get him off the board. Maybe he just didn't spawn in, maybe he disconnected. We may never know, but we take advantage of it. So I want to push in here. The destroyer's not spotted, so I immediately know that Riggs is on the other side of the map. I can see his silhouette, his vanished silhouette is over there on D. So I know that we don't have to worry about anybody really spotting us. So I push up here into the cap with the Z44. We end up getting that cap. And then from here I just try and shell some people as I see them come up as targets. So I wasn't quite sure how I got spotted, but then it made sense that cruiser was over here somewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, we execute the tactical beach. So yeah, the Tirpitz gets really aggressive here. He's going to push in toward us, and I'm going to end up coming in here with torpedoes. Now I don't get him with all of them, but I do get him with some, just enough to make his life miserable. And there it is. That's where the Harbin shows up, and you can see he's AFK'd, and here's where the guns get to shine on the stationary target. So there's big chunk there with 1 Citadel. We end up dropping 2 torpedoes on that Tirpitz, but the Z44 was right on the money with these torps, and boom, he's gone. And right there, we finish it off. We finish the Harbin off. Actually, I think that was Jankizard. Yeah, Jankizard came with me. He finished it off. Well done, nicely played. Now we get to play from an advantage of a 9v7. Now at this point I'm thinking to myself, I don't really want to charge Riggs because all he's going to do is keep me spotted. And we do have a dangerous battleship sitting back there on the red team in the Azure Lane, New Jersey. Again, this is the second game that I played in it, so from the first game I was like, yeah, I don't feel like I want to go up against an Iowa-class battleship with this thing. So I start ringing it around the other way, and I'm thinking about going to play some defense over on C-Cap. Not only that, but I noticed the push going through D right now is pretty tough. There's 3 battleships there and a cruiser, and I know Riggs is in support of those guys. So Jankizard ends up actually pushing through A, and he and the other 3 ships that he's with, they're going to go and try and cap B. But this is where you're going to see Riggs really highlight this show, because he's in a Hayate, which is an amazing tier 8 destroyer, and you're going to notice when there's a destroyer wreaking havoc on a whole team, he ends up having a really good game at the end. Those guys ended up, I think, with 2,000 XP losses. Like, they played their hearts out, and it was just, I think it honestly came down to having a cruiser AFK like that. That Harbin has radar. It could have helped them out immensely, but like I said, for whatever reason, disconnects do happen. I'll be the first one to admit that I'm angry as hell when they happen, especially when they're on the blue team. But stuff does happen, and I do realize that life happens, and it is an unfortunate part of any game. So here comes Young Yeeper, and I like I said, I knew from the last game that I played that these AP shells will be able to help somebody, and I don't want Rofello over here in his P-bag, the Peter Bagration. We always call it the P-bag. Everybody knows it as a P-bag. Anyway, I don't want him to get rolled up on too hard here, so I'm trying to come over to give him some support. Now I'm doing what any cruiser player would do in this situation. I'm trying not to extend too far out here, but I got to get myself into a position where I can start shelling these battleships and getting them lower on health. So I end up starting to angle out a little bit, and I'm going to use this little peninsula, this island, to my advantage to try and stay unspotted, and then start shelling Young Yeeper, excuse me. Start shelling Young Yeeper just because I know he's on fire, he's going down. I don't want the Wilderer build to come back for him. There you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about when we're talking about these guns shining. Just the sheer damage that I was able to do this Republic to Young Yeeper. I don't want him to Wilderer build back off this Iowa, and then we end up getting a kill on him here. I think he ends up getting a shot out there, but it overpens. Now this is where this is going to highlight the one part of the ship that I probably don't like as much, and arguably this could be any cruiser in the game at this point. But I am way too close to this Iowa, and he's going to do some sassy things to me. But again, you see what the AP shells are doing to this Iowa. I'm at 83,000 damage now, or at least coming up on 83,000 damage here. And as long as I keep shells going down range, 5,000 here, 4,000 there. Iowa ends up, looks like he takes a torpedo here from the carrier. So again, I'm just keeping the damage going, and crack. That's what I'm talking about. That Citadel came on an angle. That shell went right through the middle of my ship on a pretty substantial angle, and I couldn't believe it. I wasn't mad per se, but I was just like, wow, I can't believe he just Citadel'd me there. That was a crazy good shot. But again, this is the problem you're gonna have when you're way too close. And I'm thinking, well, if his guns are trained off to the left side of his ship, I'm thinking he's gonna take a big right-hand turn here. And we keep taking pen shots. And I'm lucky I didn't get Citadel'd there, honestly, because that probably would have changed the course of the game with that Iowa being, half health the way he is. But this is going to come down to me and this Iowa down here on this, and I think this is the part of the game where you're either going to make or break the game. It is a one-on-one. I have 7,000 health left, and I got an Iowa with half his health left. So we end up getting 2 torpedo hits there, which is huge, and then I end up getting my repair party back, which is even better. So we're going to take one more hit here, but after that, this Iowa, I think we have him dead to rights. So again, those shells there that Iowa overpenned, where the ones like 2 salvos ago from that guy that citadeled me and did almost 20,000 damage to me. And with that, we get our second kill. And now we're going to play Sailing Simulator for a couple minutes. I have to turn back towards sea. It is a 3-on-2, but we're going to end up getting into it where Riggs just completely hammers on the Z44, and it ends up being a 2-on-2 at the end here. We do have the point advantage. We are getting B-cap back, which is pretty nice. But you can see how that engagement with that Iowa could have went either way, and then that would have been a pretty substantial point swing if he was able to get C-cap back, and then you're left with Jankizard out there to try and fend for himself with a Z44. Now, again, guys, let's just be real. The Z44, it sucks. It doesn't belong at Tier 8, much less at Tier 7. It's a Tier 6 at Tier 8. It has no sonar. It has 2 racks of 5 torpedoes, which is nice, but that's pretty much all it has, and it cannot hang with any of the Tier 8 destroyers. So that's unfortunately where it's going to get hammered on here by Riggs. And you're going to see it too, because like I said, it's one of those ships that it just doesn't belong at Tier 8. And Wargaming just needs to acknowledge it. It's poo-poo. So you can see I'm looking at Riggs, and he's half health there, but then I'm looking at the health just melt off the Z44. And again, this Z44 ends up having a great game. I'm not shitting on that guy at all. He actually had a decent game. But you can just see that's what Riggs is capable of doing. Riggs lost maybe a quarter of his health, and I think that Z44 was getting an assist by Jankizard over here, because he was spotted and Jankizard had all his guns loaded. But you could see Riggs only lost a quarter of his health, and that Z44 lost all of his health. So it can't hang. That they need to fix that ship for sure. But here's where we are. We got the Z44 did get the cap. I think it was a solo cap on B, and that swings the points all the way back in our favor. Now is the time of the game with 6,800 health that I just have to avoid torpedoes, avoid bombs from the Saipan, and all we got to do is have one of us just stay alive and win the game with 1:30 to go. So I'm not exactly sure why Riggs got spotted here. Riggs must have opened up on Jankizard, and Jankizard did get him there. It looks like he hit him with maybe 1 or 2 shells, leaving with Riggs with about a quarter of his health left. Again, guys, this is what good players do. Good players swing the tide of a match. Riggs throwing down the high caliber and his high octane. He's doing everything he can to try and influence this game. And he throttle jockeys me really well here as I end up taking a huge bomb hit from the Saipan, which it's not. I was actually very happy that didn't kill me, because I was like, oh no. But yeah, Riggs does a really good job of throttle jockeying here, pumping the brakes, slamming on the e-brake, and then hitting the gas real hard to get going here. He does a very good job of dodging these shells. Unfortunately, with the amount of shells I'm able to throw, I end up getting him with the next salvo, and then I notice that the Saipan gets spotted. I end up throwing my shells at him, but at this point, you can see the timer's running down. We get Riggs in the 11th hour. We get the Dreadnought medal, and we end up winning the game. So, 3,200 XP is a heck of a way to end this one on an Encore match. Again, this was the first 2 games that I played in this ship. It was a lot of fun. It was fantastic. I just can't sing praises high enough for the Hampshire. Can't wait to get it when it actually does get a full release. Guys, thanks for watching. If you are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. We call it Citadel in that thing. Citadel, the thumbs up button. Dev, strike that subscribe button. Hats off to Jankizard. Back-to-back games, 1 and 2. The Gruesome Twosome, as we call it. We had a great time. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourselves. Be safe out there in the world. It's a nasty place. Always find some love here on the channel. Yankonomics signing off, everybody. Have a good one. Peace out.